Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Old Dad is going to have a little bit of a sit down with you guys today. Film photography has been becoming more and more popular over the last few years. And I think for a lot of you youngins out there, film wasn't really around in your childhood or especially your teenage years. So finding film photography and getting into it as a new thing, it's new and exciting, and that's great. And there are so many great resources out there now for people to learn film photography, people who have never been around it before. This YouTube channel, this is why I started this channel almost 7 years ago, was to just put more information out there on film photography. And now there are so many great channels and great resources out there that you can really learn everything you need just online. But I don't want to talk about what camera or what film stock you should shoot with. I've made videos on that in the past, and there are dozens of other videos like that already out there. I want to give a little bit more practical advice for somebody who's just getting into film photography, but advice that will hopefully stick with you past, just your first couple rolls of film. Learn how to get a proper exposure, learn how to load film, and all of that kind of stuff, obviously, but keep this kind of stuff in mind as you continue to grow and gain more experience. Keep it simple. I know film photography is exciting because there are so many different cameras and different film options and formats, and it's just an exciting thing. You pick up this camera and you learn that there are so many different possibilities just based on what camera and what film stock you use. It's fun and it's exciting, and there are so many great and exciting and interesting cameras that are out there, but you will have plenty of time to try out different cameras and experiment with different formats. Don't just dive in and start buying every camera and every different kind of format you can, because you're just going to get overwhelmed. While you're learning and getting comfortable with shooting film, I think it's a really, really good practice to just stick to one camera, one lens, and one film stock. Basically try to eliminate as many variables as you possibly can, so that way as you're shooting, and if something doesn't go as planned or you don't get the results that you thought you were going to get, it's a lot easier to figure out exactly what went wrong or what things you can do differently moving forward. And you also don't need anything fancy or expensive to get started. I spent the first few years just learning how to take pictures with a $50 camera and a 50mm lens, and that was it. I spent years with just that one setup before I ever upgraded to a different camera body or even bought a second lens for that camera. Just one camera, a 50mm lens, and a bunch of film. If you're going to be developing your own film, take your time and do your research. I know it is super exciting to dive into that process because it's such an interesting and crucial part of the process. Some people even wear it like a badge of honor just because they develop their own film. They kind of have this sort of elitist mentality, which, keep your pants on. Don't shit on other photographers who haven't developed their own film yet. It's not a competition. But I've seen friends jump headfirst into developing their own film, and they buy all of the necessary equipment and they start doing it, but they maybe forgot a step, or they got developing times mixed up, or different steps of the process and out of order. It's easy to do, but there are steps necessary to take, and there are little things that can change going from this film stock to that film stock or different developers. Just make sure you take the time and do your research before you dive in and possibly ruin your photos, because then you're just going to be discouraged, a lot less likely to continue shooting film. So there are going to be growing pains, but just be patient, take your time, and do a lot of research. I taught myself basically everything I know from just doing a lot of research, and nowadays there is so much information out there. So just take time, don't get ahead of yourself, and just enjoy it. Now, if you are going to be sending your film off to a lab and actually have them develop and scan everything, make sure you send it to a place who actually specializes in developing and scanning film in 2021. There are probably still plenty of different, 1 hour photo, local pharmacy kind of places that can develop and scan your film. But if it's not a dedicated film lab, you're probably going to be getting back some really over-sharpened and low-res scans. And places like that, I don't really know how well they maintain their chemicals to make sure you're getting the absolute best results. Send it to a professional film lab who actually specializes in this stuff. Places like the Darkroom in San Clemente, California, they're a great lab, good friends of mine, and they have a really good resource just on their own Instagram and their website. So they put out tons of different educational stuff for people who are getting into film, which is amazing. But they also just have really great results as well. So definitely just look around, find a lab that you can actually trust and send your film to. But if you need any recommendations, the Darkroom is where I would recommend. And last but not least, Enjoy yourself and do your own thing. Don't worry about what other people are saying or shooting with. Film photography, as it's gotten a lot more popular, there are a lot more people shooting film, and there's, a lot more of a sense of community, basically. And I would love to say that it's all, sunshine and rainbows and that we all sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya, but that is not the case at all. It's unfortunate, but it can be kind of toxic at times, like any kind of, community, no matter how niche it is. Film photography is not something that's taking over the world or anything, but it's grown a lot. And as a result of that, you have sort of these, it's almost like the movie Mean Girls, where you've got, this like little community, but then there's all of these little sub communities in it, and it can be pretty toxic. You've got people in the community talking shit about other people in the community, making memes and jokes about, what other people shoot with, subject matter that other people shoot that they don't think is cool. You've got people who feel like they deserve, more recognition or more attention than other photographers just because they don't like what that photographer is doing. It's really, really lame. Like we're taking pictures. That's literally all we're doing. We're just taking pictures. It should be about you and your camera and what you put in front of your camera. This whole idea of what's cool and what's not and clicks and stuff like that, it's the dumbest and most pointless shit ever. Photograph what you love. Photograph whatever you want. Show your pictures. Keep your pictures to yourself. It literally doesn't matter. Just don't pay attention to all the bullshit out there. Without photography, for me, over the last 17 years now, I don't know what I would be doing without it. So it's an amazing thing, and I love it, and I encourage everybody to at least try it out because it's done so much for me, just mentally more than anything. I just want other people to enjoy it and get the same kind of satisfaction out of it that I get. So hopefully these tips here will be helpful. And one last tip I'll give you is to pay some bills and tell you about our sponsor today, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is the best all-in-one platform to building a great-looking website. No matter what your experience level is, anyone can build a great-looking site with Squarespace with their easy-to-use templates and everything being super customizable. No matter what it is you choose, you can still make the website look your own. Whether you want to show off your work, run an online store, or just have an email newsletter, everything is built into Squarespace, so you don't have to go to any third parties and try and put things together. It's all just really, really easy, and if you ever need help with anything, they have 24/7 award-winning customer service. If you want to try Squarespace out, you can do so entirely free at squarespace.com, but when you're ready to get signed up, go to squarespace.com/mattday, and that'll get you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope these tips were helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, but that's it for today. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.